Qantas Airways is the national airline of Australia and the largest airline in Australia and Oceania by all terms, including fleet size, number of destinations, and others. At the time of making this video, Qantas mainline fleet consists of 125 aircraft. In addition, the regional subsidiary, Qantas Link, has 91 aircraft in its fleet. And while the airline uses both Airbus and Boeing aircraft, Airbus is clearly dominant here. If you exclude a few Dreamliners, about which we will talk later, you can see that almost all aircraft that Qantas had on order will be made by Airbus, and that includes 24 A350s, which will be among others used for the Project Sunrise, where Qantas will launch connections from Sydney to Europe and Eastern US. This will be also covered later in detail. Now let's answer a question. Why did Qantas not order more Boeing aircraft, and why it has completely rejected the 737 Max? For years, Qantas was a loyal Boeing customer. The airline operated multiple variants of Boeing 747, and the last 747-400 was retired in March 2020. In addition, Australian Airline had 767s and 737s classics in its fleet. Even now, 75 Boeing 737-800s are still flying with the kangaroo on their tail. So what's happened that Qantas no longer wants Boeing? Everything began in the 1990s. Boeing decided to fill a gap between the 767 and 747 and to create a replacement for aging DC-10s. The Boeing 777 was groundbreaking in multiple aspects. Not only was it a twin-engine aircraft with an impressive range, but it was also the first to be fully designed using computer-aided design technology. Since its inaugural flight in 1994, the 777 has been met with enthusiastic reception from airlines, leading to hundreds of orders and establishing itself as a key player in the long-haul market, surpassing the competing Airbus A340, which was a failure due to its 4 engines consuming a lot more fuel. In the meantime, please subscribe to this channel to help me produce new content. Qantas was looking to expand its international fleet, and the 777 was seemingly perfect. The twin-engined 777 would be powered by the most modern engines available and was then the most efficient aircraft in the sky. The 777 could run on Qantas international routes and on some heavily trafficked domestic routes, including transcontinental flights from Sydney and Melbourne to Perth. However, unexpectedly, Qantas placed a significant order with Airbus. The airline ordered 12 A380s and 13 A330s. Boeing also got a small order for 6 747s. Qantas simply said it decided the 777 was too big for domestic routes. The airline also argued the A380 was better suited to long-haul international routes, because it was at the time deemed as revolutionary new aircraft, offering capacity and operating savings, as well as environmental improvements. Nevertheless, this decision was regretted later by the next Qantas CEO, Alan Joyce. He once said that he wished that he could get in a time machine and go back to 2000 and change the fleet order made by previous management. In the next years, things changed for the worse for Boeing. Just when Qantas was about to decide on its narrow-body fleet replacement, the 2 737 Max crashes and grounding happened. As a result, in 2021, the airline agreed to buy 20 Airbus A321 XLR planes and 20 A220-300 jets, and had taken purchase options on another 94 aircraft. It was a huge blow for Boeing, as Qantas's choice in terms of fleet is always very important in the airline industry. For example, in 2005, when it ordered the Boeing 787, Airbus was forced to totally redesign its A350 into the very successful aircraft it is today. Now, Boeing should also design a completely new aircraft, rather than just changing the 60-year-old construction. And it may happen shortly, as Boeing revealed that it will build the aircraft in Washington state. Getting back to Qantas, the airline is famous for its Project Sunrise. It is a plan to deliver more direct routes to Australia, significantly reducing point-to-point travel time from the Australian East Coast to the US East Coast and Europe. The goal is to launch direct flights, among others, from London to Sydney, which will take around 20 hours. As a result, the airline needs aircraft with suitable range. There were 2 options: Airbus A350-1000 and Boeing 777X Qantas was satisfied with both the Boeing and Airbus planes because they could fly the required distances with a commercially viable payload. Initially, most people thought that Boeing would win the race, as Qantas was publicly noting how competitive Boeing's bid was. However, 737 MAX problems, and most importantly multiple delays in the introduction of the new 777, led to another choice. On the 13th December 2019, Qantas announced that their preferred aircraft for the project was the Airbus A350-1000. To fulfill the requirements, Airbus upgraded the aircraft with an additional fuel tank and slightly increased maximum takeoff weight to deliver the performance required on the project's sunrise routes. 2 years later, Qantas ordered 12 A350s, which are expected to join the fleet in 2026. Again, this was a huge blow for Boeing. Qantas never stated why they chose one aircraft type over the other. But most probably, the main reason for this decision was the fact that Airbus A350s have been flying commercially relatively trouble-free since 2018. In contrast, the production of the 77Xs was delayed and in the news for all the wrong reasons. The A350-1000 is also more fuel efficient than the 777X. Airbus claims that this difference is even up to 13%, but I think that's a little bit lower in reality. In the sector of medium-haul planes, Airbus is also left without competition. The A321XLR is the only successor of the famous Boeing 757, but with a 30% reduced fuel burn compared with this previous generation aircraft. And according to Airbus, the costs of the flight will be 50% lower than with a wide-body plane. Although Qantas wants to launch more routes to Southeast Asia and to compete with low-cost carriers efficiently, and the A321XLR is the only possible solution, as unfortunately, Boeing has no comparable offering. The aircraft will be able to reach even Thailand and Malaysia, departing from Sydney. The A320 family is, however, not completely new to Qantas, as its low-cost subsidiary Jetstar has around 70 units in fleet. The airline said that it's a great aircraft operating within the airlines group for 15 years. In addition, A320s have been also operating for the Qantas Link brand since 2018. So choosing Airbus didn't require completely revolutionizing the Qantas Group fleet structure. As you have heard, Qantas said a hard no to Boeing. In the future, the 26 Dreamliners will be the only aircraft produced by the American manufacturer in the Australian airline fleet. And in this case, even being a long-standing Boeing customer didn't help. The airline decided to renew its narrow-body fleet with A321neos and A220s. The long-range aircraft, including those operating the very important and prestigious Project Sunrise, will be Airbus A350s. As it was said multiple times, it was a huge blow for Boeing. There is only hope that the new NMA aircraft, also called the 797, will bring back Boeing's position, and the company will again gain trust among customers, which will be hard to achieve as most of them will choose Airbus A321XLR rather than waiting for a completely new aircraft to be developed. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.